Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 7th of November and welcome to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, let's start with the video. In today's video, we are going to discuss the entire Hindu newspaper analysis. We'll see all the articles with the background as well as we'll see the articles with respect to the way forward that can be used. Now, before starting, I would like to tell you that you can download the explainer PDF of all the articles. In the explainer PDF, we have given the notes. Okay. And now, this explainer PDF can be downloaded from the Telegram channel. The link for the Telegram channel has been given in the description box in YouTube. Moreover, you can visit Telegram and can search there by typing Thinking Palette by Sahil and you will get the link, you will get the notes there. Now, before starting up, let's take the overview of the entire newspaper so that actually we can understand that which articles are important in the today's newspaper. So, here we have the Delhi edition of the Hindu newspaper. Okay, so the first page guys actually doesn't contains much of the important articles with respect to the UPSC examination. Okay, here just the Kali Syahi, the indelible ink which is produced into the pink city, that is the Jaipur in Rajasthan. It is just being talked about. It is just has been it has been provided that the black ink, fine, it was used by the royals, fine, to write their farmans, letters. Now just one family produces that and it is a kind of a tradition which is just keeping itself alive. Okay, then guys, moving on into the city section. So in the city section, the regional issues, regional politics, fine, advertisements and all these kind of things have been given. Not very much important for the examination. However, here the Indian black honeybee, fine, has been discussed. We'll see this particular article as what it is talking about. Then we reach to the editorial page. The first article talks about the electoral pivot that restores the Brazil's democracy. We'll see this article. Architecture, the profession that needs strengthening. We'll see this particular article also. Then guys, a side article, Gujarat holds an outside importance in the BJP's calculation. Not important article, political article with respect to the elections that are going to be held in Gujarat. Fine, early election is the only prudent way to forward for the Pakistan. So guys, recently the assassination attempt was made onto the Imran Khan in the Pakistan, and in Pakistan the political issues, internal political issues are going on. So early elections are being suggested. However guys, for the UPSC examination, much substance is not contained in this particular article talking about the internal politics of Pakistan. Then coming on, the continuing stalemate into the Myanmar. We'll see this particular article guys with respect to the examination. Madrasas face an existential crisis. So guys, into the Uttar Pradesh, basically the madrasas and how the madrasas are basically facing a lot of crisis. Okay, the helicopter accidents in October point to a broader concern. So briefly, we'll see this article. The Uniform Civil Code. We'll see this particular article also because in the Gujarat now the UCC demands have been raised. Then the Falcon Heavy launch. We'll see this article. Find that what are the dimensions for the exam. We'll see. Then further moving on. After that, guys. In this particular direction, we can see that first of all, the Supreme Court to pronounce the EWS quota verdict today. So, we have discussed this particular article a lot, that 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act provided for the 10% reservation for economically weaker section. Now, this particular amendment was challenged into the Supreme Court that it, number one, it violates the Indira Sahani judgment where it was provided that maximum reservation should not be more than 50%. Okay, and there were actually many challenges that have come in this particular direction. Okay, so today the verdict will be given, and whatever the verdict will come in the tomorrow's newspaper, we'll see that verdict and how it has the implications. All those things will be taking it up. Then center issues on illegal stay in Bangladeshi nationals in the country. Fine guys, a not important article with respect to the examination. Vision for urban transportation headlines mobility conference. So basically guys, the transportation bodies from Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Lucknow, Delhi, they have got the excellence in urban transportation. Okay, so basically when we talk about the transportation, urban transportation is very important because it will solve many problems, the pollution problem, the congestion problem, etc. So the organizations, they have been given, fine. So the urban excellence into these cities have urban transportation has been given the excellence award. Fine, just that's it what's provided here. Then after that, the political articles, etc. has been given in the page number 11. Not important to go here, just please leave all these particular articles. Then coming on, after that guys, here in this particular page, the camera traps and the snow leopard is being discussed. We'll see this particular article. ANCI builds a tribal hut replicas to help preserve, promote unique culture. So guys, actually what has happened, what has happened, just in order to just in order to provide the awareness, okay, the tribal huts have been built, the prototype tribal huts have been built. Okay, so guys, in this particular direction, just these huts have been constructed. Okay, and the huts have been constructed by the Anthropological Survey of India. Okay, then further moving on the money wise page, the investment advices and all such kind of things have been given. Okay, so the money wise page is not that much important for the UPSC examination. Then we have the world page. On the world page, COP27 climate compensation, they are being talked about. We'll see this particular article as what the article is talking about. Okay, and then guys, we have the sports page. Now let's start with the newspaper discussion in the detail. Let's see all the relevant articles. Okay, now in every class we start with the GS quotation, which can be used in our GS paper number 1, 2, 3, 4 in order to complement our answers. So today we'll take the quotation from the Bertrand Russell. So Bertrand Russell, the philosopher, he says that ethics is in origin the art of recommending the sacrifices required for the cooperation with oneself. Okay, so what ethics is? Ethics is the art of recommending that what sacrifices are required. Now understand guys that when we talk about the society in which we live, the societies are multicultural. The society have multiple beliefs, multiple religions, multiple ethnicities living together. Now while we are living, we need to cooperate with each other, and in this cooperation many times the sacrifices are needed, many times the self-interest are to be ignored. Now these self-interest, when we ignore them, they are important for cooperating with oneself. Is it clear? So basically what ethics is this particular realization that the sacrifices are required for the cooperation of oneself, and this realization is the ground of morality. So guys, a very impactful and a very important quotation can be used very effectively in the GS paper number 4. Now that is all about the quotation for the today. Let's take the first article. So the first article that we are taking today is from the text and the context page, and the article talks about the Uniform Civil Code and the related issues. Now this particular article will take with respect to the GS paper number just a minute. So this particular article will take with respect to GS paper number 2, constitutional issues. Within the constitutional issues, the UCC, Uniform Civil Code. Fine. Moreover guys, this particular article can also be taken with respect to the secularism, and the secularism is an important topic in both GS paper number 1 as well as the GS paper number 2. Let's take this particular article, and in the past even the question has been asked onto the Uniform Civil Code, and guys, we have now seen that the questions are repeated also in the UPSC examination. So therefore the article becomes very much important. Now before going in this particular article guys, why this Uniform Civil Code has now come into the news? It is because the Gujarat, now the elections are going to be held into the Gujarat, and Gujarat has asked for implementation of the Uniform Civil Code. Before that, the Uttarakhand's chief minister few months back has provided that the Uttarakhand will be implementing the Uniform Civil Code. So because these demands have been made from time to time, so we'll see this entire issue from the scratch. Now before going in this particular article, I would like to tell you the basic things first, so that we can connect with this article in a more better way. Guys, understand this particular thing, that actually there are the two types of the law systems that we have. One is the criminal law, and other is the civil personal laws. There are the civil laws, there are the personal laws that we have. Now guys, when we talk about the criminal laws will deal with the matters such as the rape, murder, dacoity, theft, etc. Now with respect to the criminal laws, we have the, for example, Criminal Procedure Code, we have Indian Penal Code, we have. So CRPC, IPC, they are applicable on everyone in the same capacity. It is applicable on everyone in the same capacity. Is it clear? So Hindus, Muslims, fine. If there, for example, there is a rape, there will be the same punishment on everyone. So with respect to the criminal laws, we have uniformed that particular system. Then guys, when we talk about the civil laws, within the civil laws, there is the personal laws that come. Within the civil laws, there are the personal laws that come. Now personal laws basically correspond to four things. four things. What are these four things? It will deal with the divorce, divorce, adoption and inheritance. Okay, so these are the four matters that are dealt into the personal laws. Now with respect to the personal laws, we don't have any uniform approach in India. Basically the communities, they have been allowed that they can have their own personal laws system. For example, with respect to the marriage, you might be knowing this particular thing, that the Muslim women, once they attain the puberty, they can marry, and this particular thing was recently upheld by the Punjab and Haryana High Court as well. Is it clear or not? For example, guys, when we talk about the divorce within the Muslim community, is the basically there is the nikah halala that prevails. Okay, instant triple talaq got invalidated, but still the other kinds of triple talaq, they prevail. Is it clear or not? So with respect to divorce, adoption matters are different, inheritance are the different matters. So here there is no uniformity. Now why uniformity has not been made here? It is because, guys, we are a secular nation, and we have provided that the diversity of the nation will be preserved, and the different communities will be given the right to preserve their diversity. Okay, and as a part of that particular thing, the UCC is right now not there. Now when we talk about, guys, when we talk about the UCC, uniform civil code, which will make all these four matters universal for everybody, that particular thing is provided already into the Constitution of India, article number 44. So article 44 part 4 of the Indian Constitution says that the state shall endeavor to secure the citizens a uniform civil code throughout the territory of India. Is it clear? Now, when we talk about the part 4 is the DPSP, Directive Principle of State Policy, and it is not justiciable. It simply means that you cannot approach the court for implementing the article 44 if the state feels the state can do those particular things. Now, the question comes, now basically when we talk about why UCC did not got implemented in India, it is because of the fact that there was a lot of divisions in the Constituent Assembly which was drafting the constitution on this particular matter. A lot of difference of opinion was there, that whether we should have uniform civil code or whether we should not have it. Actually, guys, when we talk about the matter of the uniform civil code, this particular matter was voted also into the Constituent Assembly, and there was the house divided, and the 5:4 was the pattern. Actually, thus UCC did not got implemented. Fine. At that point of a time, the subcommittee on fundamental rights, which was headed by the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, also decided that securing a UCC was not within the scope of the fundamental rights. So right now giving UCC is not a fundamental right, and therefore let's not implement the UCC. Even the voting also decided that the UCC will not be brought now. Now, I am just giving you certain of the arguments that were given in the Constituent Assembly in and against the Uniform Civil Code. So, one of the member of the Constituent Assembly, that is the Naziruddin Ahmad provided this particular thing, that when we talk about India, India is actually a secular nation, and different communities, they follow different types of civil laws in the matters of marriage, adoption. They have different law system, and all of them are connected with the religious beliefs, religious practices. And therefore if we implement a uniform civil code on everyone, we impose the same kind of a laws, it might come in conflict with the article number 25 of the Indian Constitution. That time, fine, when the constitution was not finalized, it was article 19, but now article 25. What article 25 is? Article 25 gives you the right to conscience, profess, practice, propagate the religion. Okay, so right to religion has been given in article 25, and as a part of religion, these civil practices also exist. So if we uniform that, if we homogenize them, then article 25 might be violated. It has been provided that the religion is subject to public order, morality, health. Fine, good, but bringing a UCC might not be a very good kind of an idea. Then the another member of the Constituent Assembly, that is the KM Munshi, another member, that is the KM Munshi, he provided Okay, yes, the K.M. Munshi, he rejected the idea that the UCC would come against the freedom of religion. He said that UCC should be implemented. He provided this particular thing, that when we talk about the Indian constitution, it is unique. Now you see, just I want to discuss little bit about the Indian brand of secularism that we follow. Now Indian brand of secularism is something like this, that see, the state the state can interfere into the matters of religion for the purpose of social justice, as well as for the purpose of the social reform. Now the western model of secularism is actually different. There the state will not interfere into the matter of religion, but in India it will be able to interfere. So the wall of separation, it is not thick. The wall of separation is porous, where the state can matter in religion. So the Constituent Assembly K.M. Munshi provided this particular thing, that freedom of religion is there, but absolute freedom of religion is not there. Whenever the government will interfere into the matters of the religion for the matter of the social reform. And actually it was provided that many a times from the religion many injustices are emerging. For example, guys, when we talk about the women, particularly women, in the name of tradition, in the name of customs, fine, many times they have been suppressed. So it was suggested that rather bring a uniform civil code based on the liberal ideas, etc. And therefore it is good, and even it is something which can be done, because where our model of secularism is completely different, fine, we can interfere. Then the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar had a ambivalent viewpoint. Ambivalent viewpoint means the viewpoint which the ambivalent viewpoints which is leaning on both the sides and which doesn't have very clear undertones. So B.R. Ambedkar provided that the UCC is desirable. The UCC is desirable, but it should be purely voluntary. Fine, state should not impose. If people want, people should demand the UCC's imposition. Okay, so here are the multiple viewpoints that actually existed at that point of a time. So what was done? The constitution framers, they added the matters or related to the UCC into the entry number 5 concurrent list. Now, concurrent list is the list into the schedule number 7, according to which there are certain matters in which both the center as well as the state government can frame the law. So within the concurrent list, the uniform civil code was placed. Fine. So therefore, parliament and state legislative assemblies both were given the power in this direction. Now, guys, over the years, what had happened, the Hindu Code Bill was raised. Now, Hindu Code Bill was to consolidate all the laws with respect to the Hindus. Okay. And into the Hindu Code Bill, there were the 4 bills that were there: Hindu Succession Act, Hindu Marriage Act, Hindu Adoption Act. Clear? So for the Hindus, there is a Hindu Code Bill which is homogenized, but still the Muslims, Christians, they have their own personal laws and they are practicing it till now. Now, what happened in 2019, actually, the Supreme Court has given the example of Goa and has appreciated Goa as a shining example, where the UCC is functioning. Now, when we talk about the Goa's UCC, let's discuss it a little bit more and the Supreme Court, why it has appreciated it. See, in the Goa, the civil code was implemented or was given by the Portuguese in 1867. Fine. But guys, this is something that is there and it is continuing till now. But at the same time, UCC's Goa also has certain issues in that. For example, it allows a certain form of polygamy for the Hindus. Okay, now what is a polygamy? Polygamy is when a male is marrying the multiple women. Okay, one male having multiple wives, that is the polygamy. So polygamy for the Hindus have been allowed. So this is not something which is very much going in line with the liberal ideas. Okay, after that, when we talk about the Shariat Act of the Muslims, it has not been extended to Goa Okay, but at the same time, certain preferences have been given to the Catholics. Catholics need not to register their marriages, fine, and the Catholic priest can dissolve the marriages performed into the church. So what is happening here? The Catholics are given the preference with respect to that they don't need to register, the marriage can be dissolved by the priest. Just polygamy is being allowed to only polygamy are allowed to certain Hindu marriages. So what is happening? Again, the level playing field is being disturbed. There is no equal civil laws that have been provided. Communities at the points are being given a particular kind of a preference, particularly the Catholics. So even the UCC of the Goa, it has certain issues. Now, let's discuss a little bit more about the law commission reports as what they have suggested onto the matter of UCC, as well as what the Supreme Court has suggested onto the matters of UCC. Now, there is the most important judgment on the Uniform Civil Code comes, as well as on the secularism comes. It is the Muhammad Ahmad Khan versus Shah Bano Begum judgment of 1985. Now, what this particular judgment was, what this particular issue was, let me explain you little bit from the scratch. So basically, Shah Bano, basically the Shah Bano was divorced by her husband, and the Shah Bano, and her husband also denied to give the maintenance money. Now understand this particular thing. There is the section 125 of CRPC Criminal Procedure Code. As per the section 125, the maintenance money is to be given to the wife if she has been divorced, okay, or in other cases also are there. Fine, the maintenance money is to be given to the children also, fine. But what happened when the Shah Bano was divorced, her husband said that I will give the maintenance money just on, basically it was provided that the money will be given during the iddat period. Now iddat is the period of 90 days. So for 90 days the alimony, okay, was agreed, but not beyond that. Okay. Now in this particular matter, the Shah Bano approached the Supreme Court. Fine. And what happened? The Supreme Court directed that the maintenance money is to be given. Maintenance money is to be given to the wife even after the iddat period also. And it directed that now onwards, whenever there will be the divorce, there has to be the maintenance money that is to be given to the wife. It was provided by the Supreme Court there, and this is something which actually was the step of bringing the social justice or social reform. Okay, so actually guys, if you remember, I told you that into the personal matters, the issues of marriage, divorce, adoption and inheritance will be covered. Now into the matter of divorce, the Supreme Court has interfered. Okay, so it was one of a step where the intervention was carried. Now in this particular judgment, Supreme Court also provided that we need to go for the implementation of the Uniform Civil Code. Okay, so this is one of the judgment where the Supreme Court has favored the Uniform Civil Code. Moreover, there are another judgments also. For example, 1995 Sarla Mudgal judgment. Okay, 1995 Sarla Mudgal judgment was there. There was the Polo Contino judgment of 2019. In all these judgments, Supreme Court had favored the idea of implementing the Uniform Civil Code. Fine. Now in this particular direction, there is one law commission report also. Okay, so in 2018, law commission had given its report to reform the family law, and law commission has actually given a very balanced viewpoint. Law commission provided that unified nation doesn't necessarily needs uniformity. Unified nation doesn't needs uniformity. Now you see this particular thing, that India, we always say that diversity is the strength of India, and if we remove that particular diversity, it will be called as the homogenization of country that is going on. In the past, there have been multiple times it has been provided that if we implement the Uniform Civil Code, it will be seen as a kind of an attempt that the Hindu culture is being imposed on majority of the religion. So it might be criticized as the Hinduization. You see right now, even still there are the mistrust etc. that are going on. So keeping that particular thing into the mind, law commission suggested that unified nation doesn't need a uniform system. Diversity is also very much important, and provided that it is neither necessary nor desirable at this particular stage. Though the law commission also said that there are certain discriminatory practices that are existing, and these practices are particularly more discriminatory to the women, we need to deal with them, and it is actually important to deal with the prejudices, the stereotypes within some religions. So therefore, what the law commission said, law commission suggested that we need to look onto the marriage of the divorce in a uniform manner rather than bringing the UCC for everything. First deal with the issues of marriage and divorce. For example guys, I told you, now see this thing, Prohibition of Child Marriage Act 2006 is a law. Under this particular law, it's provided that the minimum age of marriage will be 18 years for girls and 21 years for boys. But at the same time, I gave you the example that the Muslim women can marry after reaching the puberty, and this particular thing has been declared valid by the Punjab and Haryana High Court as well. Punjab and Haryana High Court as well. So you see, now this particular thing, from where it is coming? It is coming from the personal civil laws of the Muslims. Now, this particular provision is violating the PCMA 2006. Is it clear? Now guys, moreover, in this particular issue, in this particular direction, many a times the child labors are also happening. Fine. So therefore, these are certain matters. Divorce, triple talaq was there, instant triple talaq was actually there, nikah halala is still there. So these particular things are often lead to the violation of the women's rights. So specifically the marriage and divorce matters are needed to be seen first. The law commission also provided that we need to bring the marriageable age for boys and girls at 18 years, so they are married as equal. Now this point can also be used in one more dimension. How? See, last year the Jaya Jetli Commission came, and Jaya Jetli Commission recommended that the marriageable age for the girls is needed to be increased to 21 years, because then the equality will come, because already for boys it is 21 and girls also we need to increase to 21. But the law commission said that rather than doing that, bring the boys age also at the 18, and both the girls and the boys should be allowed to get married at 18. Okay, make adultery as a ground for divorce. Fine, simplify the divorce procedures. So first tackle onto the marriage and divorce issue. Okay, then guys, recently also the question was asked from the present government that what you are thinking about the UCC, and present government has provided, the union law minister has provided that right now there are no plans to set up a panel to implement the UCC, and has also requested the 22nd law commission that has now been constituted to undertake an examination of various issues related to the UCC. Okay, had appointed, but up till now the chairman for the specific the chairman for this particular thing has not been appointed, and it might take few years to get materialized. So as of now, from the government viewpoint, there is no such node that is coming that whether the UCC will be implemented or not. So this is guys all the issues with respect to the Uniform Civil Code. Fine. And the Supreme Court judgments, the Law Commission of 2018 report, 22nd Law Commission that has been constituted now. Very important points, and please do note them down in your notebooks. Fine. Now moving to the next article. Okay, Indian black honeybee is a Western Ghats discovery. Fine, let's discuss this particular article. And guys, if you are liking the video, you can please hit the like button. Fine. Indian black honeybee is a Western Ghats discovery. This particular article will see with respect to the prelims examination. Okay, now actually what has happened recently, a new species of the honeybee has been discovered in the Western Ghats. Now you see this particular thing that very frequently the frogs, the butterflies, etc., some of a fungi, etc., they are being found into the Western Ghats, and all of them are not very much important. But a new honeybee species, as it has been found in Western Ghats, it's very important. Why? Because guys, it is after the gap of 200 years that a new species of honeybee has been spotted into the Western Ghats. So it is first time in the 200 years that it is happening. Now this particular species of the honeybee, it has been named as Apis caringidion, and in the common usage it is called as the Indian black honeybee. So Apis caringidion or the Indian black honeybee. Now, the last species of the honeybee that was discovered in India, fine, was 200 years back. That was the Apis indica. And it was discovered in 1798 by the Fabricius. But actually, Apis indica also had many of the controversies. It was disputed. Fine, it was disputed. It was not considered a valid species. Okay, it was disputed, but guys, recently on to the basis of the radiomedial index, that particular thing has been resolved. Fine, and now the Indian black honeybee has been found. Now when we talk about the Indian black honeybee, okay, or the Apis caringidion, the range of this particular B is in the central Western Ghats and Nilgiris, fine, Nilgiris to the southern Western Ghats. With respect to the states, it covers the state of Goa, Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu. So in all these states and particularly into the Western Ghat, it is found. So please keep it in your mind with respect to the prelims examination, because many times such kind of a questions have been asked. Now moving on. The continuing stalemate in Myanmar. The continuing stalemate in Myanmar. Now this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 2, GS paper number 2, international relations, and within the international relations, issues in neighborhood will take this article. So basically guys, this article is talking about the Myanmar crisis, where the military has taken over in the Myanmar, and this stalemate is going on for 2 years. There are the rebellion forces, majorly which consist the civil societies, the citizens of the Myanmar, who are not happy with the military's takeover. They are fighting with the military. Military is killing them, persecuting them. More than 2,000 people have died in this particular direction, and from 2 years this civil war situation is going on in the Myanmar. And as Myanmar is the immediate neighbor for India, it brings a lot of issues on the context of India's security concerns. Fine. Now, first of all guys, what had happened? 21 months have passed since this military coup over the Myanmar has happened. Now, when we talk about this military coup, just let's take little bit of a background. So actually what has happened? In 2020, the elections were conducted into the Myanmar, and in these 2020 Myanmar elections, the Aung San Suu Kyi's party, that is the National League for Democracy, emerged victorious. And as it emerged victorious, okay, the military thought that the NLD will become more powerful and the military's control over the country will go down. And therefore, the military said that elections were corrupt. There was a lot of misconducts that have happened into the elections, and onto the charge of corruption military took over the government within the Myanmar in 2020. The state of emergency and a voting fraud was declared into the Myanmar. Now, when we talk about guys, the Myanmar's constitution, Myanmar's constitution's latest one, which was framed in 2008, it has already given a considerable power to the military in the political matters. Actually, 25% of the seats into the parliament of the Myanmar, it will be held by the military, and many of the ministerial positions are also reserved for the military appointees. So already it has a lot of powers there. Now, since then, when they have imposed the emergency and has taken over the power, 2,300 people have been killed, thousands people have been imprisoned. Aung San Suu Kyi, find the leader of the NLD party, she is also into the jails, and it is being said that a lot of human right violations are going on in the Myanmar. Now, this particular matter has also reached the United Nations, and United Nations has very vehemently criticized this act of the military, where they have taken over the power, this particular coup, and they have said that immediately a democratic government is needed to be established. Fine. And they have supported the democratic transition, had said that political prisoners are needed to be released from the jail, human rights are needed to be restored. All these things have happened. But actually, the United Nations has not been able to do something considerable in this particular direction. Is it clear? So guys, first of all, this also calls into the question that entire body of the United Nations has not been very much effective into the present times, because many of the emerging issues, they have not been resolved. You take the example of the Myanmar. The coup is going on, human rights are getting violated, UN is sympathizing, but actually nothing has happened. Now, when we talk about the Western countries, particularly the Western Europe and the US, they have criticized the military and are very critical of that particular matter. But guys, here also we find that the competing interest will come. So the West is criticizing military and Russia is supporting the military. Russia here is supporting the military, is giving the backing to the military regime. Now, why Russia is doing this thing? You know that the Russia has been isolated from the West, and Russia need the support of the other countries. So in this particular thing, as military is being criticized by the West, Russia is supporting so that the Myanmar supports. the Russia. This is something going on. Moreover, guys, when we talk about the military in the Myanmar, they will be needing weaponry, they need arsenal, they need many such kind of things. So there that Russia will provide them the support. Then the China. Now the China on the face, it says that we are open, that the democratic forces should be established. They say that law and order should be established, but at the same time, China is doing a lot of business with the regime, with the military of the Myanmar. So the China is also indirectly supporting the military. Now, when we talk about the ASEAN, fine, Association of Southeast Asian Nations, it is divided in three ways, fine, and very important, please please pay attention here. The countries such as the Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore are pro-democracy. It means they are very much critical of the military, and they want that the NLD and the Aung San Suu Kyi, NLD is to be restored, Aung San Suu Kyi is to be released from the jail, and the political prisoners, they all should be released. Okay, so that is one grouping. Then after that, there is a Thailand, Laos. Now Thailand and Laos are pro-military. They support the military. And then the Vietnam and Philippines, they are ambivalent. Ambivalent means they don't have very clear viewpoint. Sometimes they support democracy, sometimes they support the military. So this is the major divisions into the ASEAN, and actually ASEAN is not able to take a very clear stand, and this is also calling in question the ASEAN's efficacy. Okay. That is something. Now, ASEAN has proposed already a 5-point consensus for the military there. Now, what is this 5-point consensus? Let's understand this 5-point consensus first, and then we'll be talking about it. See, the 5-point consensus talks about the five priorities. Number one, immediate end to violence. Immediate end to the violence. Number two, dialogue among all the parties, that is the political parties and the military should come and talk. Then the third is appointment of a special envoy which will negotiating the peace between the opposition and between the military. Then humanitarian assistance by ASEAN, food assistance, monetary assistance, all such kind of assistance are to be given. And then the special envoy's visit to Myanmar to meet all the parties. Okay, to meet all the parties. So these are the 5-point consensus that has been given by the ASEAN to the Myanmar, that the Myanmar should follow. But up till now, Myanmar has not implemented this 5-point consensus. Why? Because ASEAN in itself is not very much decisive. I told you here in this particular point that the ASEAN is divided. So because of that particular thing, nothing has happened. Now guys, in coming few weeks, there is the ASEAN summit that is going to be organized, and in this particular ASEAN summit, we need to devise some policy that how to bring this particular matter under the control. Now when we talk about the India is very much concerned in this particular matter, because you see, now just please look on this particular map. Now guys, when we see the Myanmar and India, we find that a considerably large border is there between the Myanmar and India, and the nature of the border is that we have a kind of a porous border. Porous border means that the border is not very tightly regulated. Okay, and actually, because the porous border is there, what is happening? Large number of migrants who are coming from the Myanmar, because of this particular crisis, they have come to the India. Now understand, already there are the Rohingya Muslim who are living into the Myanmar, into the Rakhine state. Fine, they are living into the Rakhine state, into the Myanmar. Okay, now the Rohingyas actually are one of the most persecuted community into the world. Now as the military has come into the Myanmar, it is committing a lot of atrocities onto the Rohingyas, and these Rohingyas are also coming to the India. Okay, moreover, when we talk about, guys, the Myanmar, it makes the boundary with the northeast part of India. And in the northeast part of India, we already see this particular thing, that often there are the insurgencies, etc., that are going on. Fine. So therefore, if there will be any instability into the Myanmar, it might lead to the spillover effects onto the India's national security. Fine. The spillover effects will be there onto the India's national security. So therefore, India is very much considerate and need to solve this particular matter as early as possible. Fine. This is going on. This is going on. Now, guys, this is something that is going on. So it has been provided that actually there are the 50,000 refugees who have come. Then at the same time, there are the mega projects that were signed between the India and Myanmar, and these particular mega projects are right now suspended. Fine. Now, guys, when we talk about the states making the major boundary with the Myanmar, we have the states making the major boundary. That is the Mizoram is there. Mizoram is there. Manipur is there. Manipur is there, Nagaland is there, fine, and Arunachal Pradesh is there. Arunachal Pradesh is there. Okay, so Mizoram, Manipur, Nagaland, and Arunachal Pradesh, fine, they have basically, in order to provide them connectivity through the Myanmar, there were many multiple agreements that were signed. Now, all of them right now are not on their way. After that, understand this particular thing. India is also in a sticky situation from one more viewpoint. Let's take one more dimension. Actually, you see this particular thing, that India has always been the champion of democracy. Okay, and the military takeover has happened into the Myanmar. Now, if India says that democracy is more important, and if it criticizes the military, then the military of Myanmar will go near to the China, and then the China will provide the support to the military, and through the Myanmar, China might create some interventions in India. I told you that these all the states make the boundary with the Myanmar. So China will support military of Myanmar, and China might use that particular thing to their own advantage. So we cannot outrightly condemn the military, but at the same time, democracy and restoration of democracy is very much important. So India is in a very sticky situation that is going on. Fine. Now, moreover, there is a perception that is also building that India has actually abandoned the Myanmar's people. Fine, but that is not true. That is not true. So India can India do more? Fine. These particular things are needed to be found out, and whatever is into the capacity of India, India should be taking the steps on that particular direction. Fine. So that is all, guys, about it. And now moving to the next article. Architecture, the profession needs strengthening. Architecture, the profession needs strengthening. Now, this particular article, it is talking about the architecture's professions, the issue that are coming into the architecture, and all such kind of things. Now, first of all, understand the article with respect to the examination doesn't contains much of the substance, okay, but just we'll see this particular article anyhow for the general purpose. Now, guys, the article is talking about the architecture as the profession. So we see this particular thing, that the Architect Act of 1972 was passed 50 years back, and it has recognized architecture as the modern profession. But up till now, the architecture has not got that much recognition as it expected. It has been provided that 50 years, even still the architects, they are not being recognized as a specific, many times are not being recognized as a distinct set of professionals. See, we have recognized doctors, lawyers as the distinct professionals, but architects have not been recognized as that. There are the low professional fee structures, poor protection from market forces. Okay, they are not in a very organized kind of a setup. All these problems are being faced by the architectures. Even there are the regulations, fine, that are counterproductive. Fine, the architects, they have to come deal with all these kind of an issues. Fine. Now, the article is actually talking about this particular thing, that when we talk about the architecture today, it emerged as a distinct profession. It emerged as a distinct profession in the UK, and it emerged as an influential association. But never into the case of India, the architecture emerged as an influential association or as an influential profession. Now, there was the first national level association of the architecture that was formed in 1929. Fine, and after that, the professionalization into the architecture started to come, particularly after the independence. And when we came out with the Dentist Act, Indian Medical Council Act, which recognized the doctors, dentists as the specific professionals, architects also needed that they should be recognized as the professionals, and therefore the Architect Act of 1972 came. but there have been many problems. Actually guys, there is the overlapping function of the architects with the engineers, particularly the civil engineers. So basically it has been provided that architects often they are not seen very much essential. Their vocational services are not being recognized because what services they are being given, many a times those are overlapping with the engineers and they are given more importance. That is something that's happening. Okay. Now there are certain way forwards that has been given. Number one, it is being provided that it is being provided that the architects should not focus on exclusive jurisdiction. Exclusive jurisdiction, for example, in designing, etc., architects should not claim that they'll only do this particular thing. Fine. So this is something not what architects should design. Then the next thing that is coming here is that basically we need to provide opportunities to the small and the medium architect firms also, that they can lobby for the big projects. Right now guys, when the government projects are there, building projects are there, there is some many times the compliance that only the architect firms of a particular size can apply. That is to be removed. And then it has been provided that architects themselves, they need to inculcate the institutional ethics, and by inculcating the institutional ethics, architects will be able to give good service, and that particular thing will also enhance the architects profession, architects professions, and it will enhance their standards. So this is something which has been given. So guys, just for a read, we'll take this particular article, but for the examination, not very much important. Fine. Now moving to the next article. An electoral pivot that restores the Brazil's democracy. Now this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 2, International Affairs. GS paper number 2, International Affairs. Now actually this particular article guys, first of all, is dealing with a lot of issues with respect to the elections, the elections that have conducted into the Brazil, the voter turnout, how many voter voted for which party, okay, by how many vote the President Lula got got the victory. Now these things are not important for examination, so that is not at all to be seen. But this particular article is actually giving a very important message, which is important guys. Now understand this particular thing, that recently, first of all, the presidential elections were held into the Brazil, and the two former presidents, that is the Luiz Inacio Lula da Silva was one of opponent, and the other opponent was the Jair Bolsonaro. Okay, so actually what happened, Lula da Silva defeated the Jair Bolsonaro, and Lula da Silva became the new president of the Brazil. Now this particular thing is very important from one point of view. Actually guys, we see this particular thing that 2015 and 16 onwards, the right wing politics has emerged more powerful. Now what is the right wing politics? Guys, right wing is characterized by certain features. First of all, right wing will focus more on authority, hierarchy, duty, tradition, fine, nationalism. This is something which the right wing will be focusing. They will focus on equal competition. But on to the another hand, we have the left wing politics. Politics will focus on freedom, equality, fraternity, reform, social justice for the vulnerable, poor. Fine. Now actually what has happened around the world, you see this particular thing, that the right wing politics has emerged a lot. For example, in 2016, Donald Trump outrightly provided this particular thing, that we will make the America great again, America first, nationalism, said that a wall will be built between the Mexico. Okay, so the nationalism, hierarchy, order, tradition, reactionism, it is being which is supported by the right wing, and around the world rightist political parties have become more powerful. But when we talk about the Mr. Lula, he basically he belongs from he actually belongs from the leftist politics trend, and therefore it has been said that he had brought an end to the right wing populist government that was there. So basically the earlier president, that is the Jair Bolsonaro, he was called as the rightist politician, and he actually, it has been said that during his time the democratic institutions were attacked, fine, misogyny, homophobia was actually the homophobia is a kind of a dislike towards the homosexual people. Fine, gun culture was celebrated. Okay, the slum dwellers were criminalized, and all such kind of things were happening. The environmental conservation was not going on for the Amazon forest. No focus was given. So basically, the rightist trend that has led to so much of the issues, now it has come to an end by the elections of the Mr. Lula, who belongs from the leftist politics. Okay, this is something that has happened, and it says that actually there is the age of reaction. Okay, it has been provided that the age of reaction has been brought to an end into the Brazil. Okay, so the rightist and their policies are called as the age of reaction. Fine. Now into the Western Europe, US, everywhere this particular trend has emerged. It has been provided that this particular victory, it is important because now we might expect that the gender rights, fine, climate change, cultural pluralism, racial inclusion will be discussed, which were earlier ignored by the right wing populist. By the right wing populist, it was ignored, but now it might be focused again. So these are, guys, some of the key takeaways from the Brazil's election. So you see this thing here. I have not discussed that. Okay, how which political party got what many votes. No, that is not at all important. The symbolism of this particular message, the core message, it is important, and such kind of things can be used with respect to the GS paper number 2. Now moving to the next article. The Falcon Heavy launch, the most powerful operational rocket in the world. Okay, so guys, we'll see with this with respect to the GS paper number 3, science, GS paper number 3, the issues of the science and the space explorations from the West. Space explorations from the West. Now, when we talk about the space explorations of the West, see, Indian space exploration, the launch vehicles, the satellites which are launched by the ISRO, you need to go a lot in the detail on those particular things, but every other country's space launches, etc., we don't need to go too much in the detail. However, we need to have an overview, fine, precursory idea. Okay, so what has happened? SpaceX Falcon, SpaceX Falcon Heavy has been launched by the SpaceX, which is launched by the Elon Musk of the USA. So recently, the SpaceX Falcon Heavy, it has carried the satellites for the US military in the space. Okay, so basically the US Space Force 44. Okay, so US's military mission, that is the US Space Force 44. For that, the SpaceX Falcon Heavy has launched the satellite. Now guys, the satellites or the payloads that have been launched, it carries one Tetra microsatellite. This particular satellite will be the Tetra 1 microsatellite, which will be providing the assistance to the USA's Space Force, USA's military, and other is also the satellite for the national defense purposes. Now, actually, there is the Space System Command. When we talk about the Space System Command, it is the oldest military space organization into the United States. Now see this particular thing, the space is also emerging an arena where the military capabilities are to be tested, where the military strength is also to be proved. So within the USA, there is this Space System Command, and the Space System Command has launched these two satellites, and these satellites have been carried by the SpaceX Falcon Heavy. Now, when we talk about, guys, this Space System Command of the USA, which is the military space organization, it is responsible for developing, acquiring, equipping the space capabilities. Space capabilities. Is it clear? So, for that particular thing, they launch the missions, satellites, etc. Now, as the SpaceX has launched this particular satellite, let's talk a little bit about the SpaceX Falcon Heavy. So SpaceX Falcon Heavy is the most powerful rocket right now in the world. It has the lifting capacity of 64 metric tons. Okay, so it can actually lift the 737 aircraft. Okay, 737 jetliner aircraft. Okay, and it can actually carry twice that payload of the next closest operational vehicle, that is the Delta 4 Heavy. So the Falcon SpaceX Falcon Heavy, it is right now the most powerful rocket into the world, and it has now deployed the two of the satellites recently. So that is all the development in this particular direction. And as I told you guys that the space launches of other countries only you need to see for the overview. Beyond this, you are not required to go beyond this thing, you are not expected to go. So that is all about the article, and now let's move to the next article. Camera traps renews the hopes for the snow leopard in Kashmir. Now, guys, when we talk about the snow leopard, okay, so recently what has happened, there is the snow leopard that has been trapped into the camera into the Baltal Jozila region into the Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh region. Now you see this particular thing. Before going in this particular article, let's take little bit of the background with respect to the snow leopard. When we talk about the snow leopard, it is listed as the vulnerable in the IUCN red list. And in India, the snow leopard is actually found in Jammu, Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh. Actually, not found in these entire states, but this is the geographical range. Geographical range is the historic range where a species will be roaming. Now, when we talk about the snow leopard has been identified as a flagship species for the high altitude Himalayas. And for the snow leopard, fine, India is also running the Snow Leopard and Ecosystem Protection Program GS LEAP. Now this GS LEAP, it is the intergovernmental alliance, the 12 snow leopard range countries, fine, they have cooperated that they will be focusing on the conservation of the snow leopard, and these 12 snow leopard range countries are India, Nepal, Bhutan, China, Mongolia, Russia, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan. Please keep these particular countries in your mind, because the snow leopard is an important species and on that the question can be come. Moreover, for the protection of the snow leopard, we are also running the Himal Sangrakshak program, where the people, the locals, they will be aiming to protect the snow leopard, and this program was started in 2020. Now, actually what has happened, actually what has happened in this particular direction, basically guys, when we talk about the snow leopard population, fine, as per the snow leopard population assessment of India, SPAI, it provides that in the Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand, there is the population of around 100 cats. Is it clear or not? But when we talk about the Jammu and Kashmir, there are the teams that are conducting the surveys across the Jammu and Kashmir to find that whether actually the snow leopard right now are living there or not. So for that particular thing, camera traps are being placed, and actually now in the Baltal Jojila region, the snow leopard has been identified. So it is reviving the hope that actually still in the Jammu and Kashmir also the snow leopards are there. Okay, so this is something that has happened. Now, moving to the next article. Helicopter accidents in October point to the broader concern. Okay. Now, basically, guys, with respect to the matters of GS paper number 2, GS paper number 3, okay, aviation, we'll see this particular article. Now, actually what has happened over the past few months, there are the helicopter crashes that have been there, and recently in the October also there was a helicopter crash that happened. Fine. Now the article is talking about the accident, morning, afternoon, when it happened, cruising, landing, takeoff, when it happened. Fine. You don't need to go in this particular matter that okay, how many percentage of accident happen in morning, evening. No, that is not important. But generally, we'll see this particular thing that when we talk about the aviation issues, in that the helicopter crashes, etc. Why these things are happening? Actually, what happened last year? Actually, what happened last year? The the first CDS of India, General Bipin Rawat, also died in a helicopter crash. Okay, so see this particular thing. Recently, there were many people who were killed into the helicopter accident. And when we talk about the helicopter accident, 40% of the commercial helicopter accidents are because of the pilot error. There are no mechanical issues, pilot error. And the harsh weather is the condition is the reason that the 90% of the accidents are happening. 9% of accidents are happening because of the cable hit. So in the mountains, there are the cables that are deployed fine to transport the goods and the people. So 9% accidents are for cable, 19% for the weather, and 41% accidents because of the pilot error that is there. Now when we talk about India, fine, basically when we talk about India, guys, understand this particular thing that India actually lagged in certain issues, and these are something that we need to address immediately. See this particular thing. There is the International Civil Aviation Organization's Universal Safety Oversight Audit Program, And this particular program shows this particular thing, that India lags in the personal licensing as well as training and civil aviation organizations. So when we are giving the licenses to the pilots, when we are giving when we are doing their training, at that point of a time, there are the established norms that are most of the times not being established. So the aviation agencies, okay, there are no sufficient qualified personnel, there are the inadequate financial resources, proper oversight is not there onto the pilots who have been given the licenses, and because of this particular thing we find that 41% of accidents in India are because of the pilot error. So India needs to really focus on this particular matter and need to make sure that how such stringent oversight can be brought, because such kind of a thing poses a very big challenge to the India's aviation. Okay, that is all about it. And now let's move to the next article. COP27 puts climate compensation on agenda for the first time. So basically guys, the COP27 has started yesterday, that is the 6th November in the Egypt. And in this COP27, the developing countries such as the India, they will be pressurizing the developed country that they should give the climate compensation. So guys, $100 billion was to be given by the developed country to the developing countries, and again repeatedly the deadlines have been extended, but up till now this $100 billion funding has not come. So here the united front will be put by the developing countries onto the developed world, and they'll ask this particular money. Okay, so this is just the content here. Why? Because guys, it has just started yesterday. Okay, and now over the next few days this particular COP27 will be going on, and we'll actually see that what has happened. Okay, so just they are going to demand that particular thing, and we'll see what the developed countries response is, and that is something which is going to be more important. So right now no need to go too much into the detail, because as the talks will progress, we'll able to get to know that what is happening. So that is all guys about this particular article. And now let's move to the mains practice question for today. So today's mains practice question, it says that in the context of uniform civil code, discuss whether uniformity is even desirable for a nation that is as diverse as India. Also explain how courts have looked onto the implementation of the UCC in India. Okay, so this particular article will be for the GS paper number 2, and this will be a 15 marker question. So that is all guys for the today. I hope that you have understood all the articles, and with this we come to an end to the today's newspaper analysis. And guys, if you have liked the video, please don't hesitate in liking the video. It will not take a lot of effort, but it actually helps a lot to keep us going on. So that is all for today. Now we'll meet tomorrow. Till then, please take care of yourselves, and please download the notes from the Telegram channel. Thank you.